Hello, I'm so happy all of you are joining us today. I'm Marie Schoeff. I'm an artist and retired professor of art from Westmont College. We're so pleased to be offering a new exhibit at the museum, and it's called Matter and Spirit. Unfortunately, it will only be seen online because of our COVID-19 situation, but we're very pleased that you're joining us as we interview Meagan Stirling, who is Associate Professor of Art at Westmont. She was one of the artists that participated in this Matter and Spirit program, and her artwork is on exhibit in this show. Welcome, Meagan. So glad that you're here to share your experiences with us. Let's talk about your performance piece that's in the exhibit. In this performance, you and your 18-month-old daughter you're digging a hole. You're pregnant with your second child, and you're digging in the earth. And it strikes me that the earth becomes a fourth character in this narrative. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, this is something new I've been thinking about as the earth being another character. So I'm there and my daughter Tate is there digging with me, and then I'm carrying my second child, and towards the end, then she makes an appearance with us digging as well. But we're digging in the earth. There's something very grounding about standing in the earth, standing in the hole, feeling the earth. Also the symbol of Mother Earth, that creating a sense of unity among the characters, really. And so thinking about the earth as another sort of player in the performance. Also just the vastness of the earth. When initially we're digging a hole to China, and you don't actually make it to China, you end up somewhere in the Pacific. But this idea of the adventure of digging somewhere and stirs your imagination of what one may find on the other side. And so all of that involves the earth that I've been giving more thought to.
Well, it's a very interesting idea of this. It's sort of a character that is very powerful, very symbolic, and is present, but may not be what we're really cognizant about at first glance. There's another major player in this, and I see it as the hole that you're actually digging. And when I'm watching, I'm wondering, what are you doing? What is this hole about? And why are you digging? I wonder if you're searching for something. I wonder if you're perhaps preparing to plant something. At some points, I think, is that a grave? You know, so what about all that?
Yeah, I love the word searching, because I don't think I knew entirely what the project was about when I started it, and I'm certainly still processing it as part of my greater body of work. So searching, thinking about the ideas of motherhood. The whole can represent many different things: a grave, the womb, the start of planting something new or bringing something new into existence or life. So it really does represent many different things.
It's very powerful, this idea of, there's also the implication that perhaps it would be refilled, you know. Is the void later refilled?
It reminds me of a scene in the performance where Tate, my daughter, actually takes the shovel from me and begins digging. And it's almost as if it's a passing on from mother to daughter. And there's a reciprocity there between mother and daughter, the sort of reciprocal love or the filling up of something. Mm. But at the same time, as a mother, you know that is somewhat temporary, because you you fill up with love and raise a child as best you can with the knowledge you have, and yet you do eventually pass on the digging, so to speak, for them to go and dig their own hole, live their own life. And so it is the filling up and then the letting go.
That's really a beautiful sort of reference. I love thinking about that. The title for the piece is Digging a Hole to China, which I remember as a child. And it really sort of represents this wonderful imaginary kind of travel, wondering of, what's on the other side of the earth, and, what would people be like? Can you talk about your choice and why you chose that title?
Well, I remember that saying too, and so that was definitely a connection. The one thing about the project is that it felt very timely. It felt like it wasn't a project I could think about and then do next year. So it was very connected to the third trimester of my pregnancy, and that it needed to be done during that time. And so this idea of digging a hole to the other side of the earth, and what might you encounter? Who might you encounter? Would there be more similarities than you thought there might be between another culture and yourself? So sort of the adventure of digging a hole to China was a part of my experience.
You were actually pregnant when you were traveling, and when you returned and made this piece, you're still pregnant. So in a way, it's that adventure, what lies ahead, has to do perhaps with your trip as well as your coming birth of your second child, or motherhood.
Yes. I mean, I was pregnant during part of the trip, and then the performance occurred during the last few months of my pregnancy, and so that also the anticipation or the waiting is involved as part of the performance. It was very much ritualistic in that we dug together 3 times a week at the same time of day for 3 months. And so that sort of the marking of time or the waiting during that time is involved.
What about the artifacts that you're exhibiting?
They're so important. There's the 2 aprons and the shovel and the pry bar. And I gave a lot of thought to what kind of clothing we would wear when we would dig, the color of the clothing. It was very important that over time they would begin to accumulate dirt and sweat, and they weren't washed during our performance. My apron is as a dark navy denim, and so thinking about that as sort of a common color for a uniform, even a connection with thinking about the Cultural Revolution. So I was very intentional in picking that color. Their linen, and I remember a grad professor telling me that all of those small details matter. So pick them with intention, and they must reinforce the idea.
And I think the garments especially do. They refer to work clothing, and they are kind of universal work garments. And
I'm also wearing an apron, and so you can follow that as being a sort of a domestic outfit as well, or a uniform, and how that relates to motherhood and mother-child relationship.
Oh, exactly. Did you happen to have any sort of humorous incidents during this?
Working with a toddler as a major part of your piece is tricky. I mean, there were times where I would be in tears and Tate would be in tears. Often I would have to bribe her with a special snack. So it was just every day was like a new challenge with what would happen with, an 18-month-old being a part of the performance.
Well, that just goes to show how much discipline an artist must have to kind of hang in there for a piece like this. That's wonderful. Thanks, Meagan, so much for sharing your experiences. It's very enlightening and quite wonderful. So, and thank you all for joining us. Visit the exhibit online. It's just a wonderful experience. And at the bottom of your screen, you can see the website to visit. Thanks so much.
Thank you.